Hey, this is Joy. Welcome back to another WHIMSY Stamps video. I have a question for you today. Can the maximalism style be clean and simple? That's the question that we're going to try to answer today. First, I am using the Dudley Art Clear Stamp, the Paint and Palette die, the Ink Word and Shadow die, the Notched Rectangles die, and later on the Mix and Match Neutrals paper pad. So I've been going to a few trade shows and I've noticed that the maximalist style is coming back, and what that means is a lot of color, a lot of layers, where more is more. And I tend to be a more is more person, but I also gravitate to clean and simple. So I've been trying to decide if the two can be paired together, and that's what I am attempting to do with this card. So when I think of clean and simple, I think of a lot of white space and then one or two elements that maybe pop off the page. There's no true definition of clean and simple because you'll see all different interpretations of it, but my interpretation is a lot of white space. So I'm going to let the Dudley Art stamp be the focal point and full of color. So let's talk about Dudley for a second. I am coloring him green in my favorite Copic blends, which is a YG03, a YG17, and a 67. And like always, I do the 6-7 in the shadows, and then my 17 is the mid-tone, and then the highlight is the YG03. Now, to make his snout look rounded, where that little natural little line is drawn, I made it look like the highlight was in the center of those 2 points. That's how I got that rounded. Then I used some Y11, 15, and 19 for the horns and the scales. I start out by using my cool grays in the 3, 1, and 0. And I color the barrel of the paintbrush, and that's the silver part, and I made sure to leave a lot of white space so it looks like it's metallic. I then come in with the E family, an E59, a 5.7, a 5.5, and a 5.3, and I draw in the wood part of the paintbrush. Now for the actual bristles itself, I am using the warm gray families, and I'm making sure to get a really deep cast shadow under where the paint is going to be. Now I slowed down my painting or my coloring of the paint a little bit so that you could get the idea. So the way you make something look brilliant or wet is you leave a lot of white highlights, but in order to have light you have to have darkness. So I brought in my R59 and I drew in some dark areas, and you're going to see that I left a lot of little white spaces. I then outlined those areas with an R29, and then my mid-tone is the R46. I made sure that I left a lot of white space in between each of those areas, and then I slowly colored that in with the R24, and that's how I get that white effect. I also come in with a white gel pen and add some splashes of white in order to get some more highlights. I am now die cutting both of the paint and palette and the ink dies. I use the gray stripes from the Mix and Match Neutrals, and I die cut the ink. Here I am adhering a panel from the Notched Rectangles die onto my white card base. And we're going to be all white and gray at this point. So the first thing I do is I apply the bristles, or what would be the paint to the paintbrush. And now comes the barrel, or the silver part, which would be the metal part of the brush. And then after that, I layer on the actual handle of the paintbrush to construct this. I come back in with my cool grays, and I start to give this some depth and dimension. I blend it with a C2, a 0, and a 00. If you're interested in any of these products, they are linked in the description box below, and they will take you right to the Whimsy Stamps store. I would love it if you would consider liking, subscribing, maybe leaving us a comment. We love hearing what you have to say and any type of feedback. We do really appreciate that. And so I continue with my cool grays, and on the paintbrush I'm giving it a cast shadow on the end, and then there are some scored areas on the metallic part of the brush, so I make sure to go in with a little bit of a darker gray, and then I also use a little bit around the paint area of the brush just to give some movement and dimension. Again, Dudley is going to be our focal point of this card, so all of the other stuff is what I'm considering my white space, my clean and simple area. Even though we've got lots of dimension, I've popped everything up on foam tape and foam squares. Even the little paint splotches here, I colored in with the cool gray, and I put those up on foam squares. So we've got, again, lots of layers meeting that maximalist style, lots of texture, all the feels. The only thing that we're lacking are the bright, brilliant colors that would go along with this style. Once I have all of the paint palettes put in, I then glue the paintbrush diagonally across the panel, and then I pop up Dudley on more foam tape so that he again is right front and center. I add in the little paint splotches, and then I add the ink to the top and a few embellishments. I did use the Paint You Cute, so ink, Paint You Cute, isn't that darling? And I just trimmed that down, added some bling, and that's the last looks at my card. I think maybe I did meet the maximalist style. You're going to have to let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep crafting. I'm sure I'll see you again. Bye-bye.